Professor Julie Meeks Gardner, Director, Office of Graduate Studies and Research, the UWI Open Campus, and member of the UE COVID-19 Task Force. Dr. Paulette McGregor, Chairperson, Region 4 of Lions Club Subdistrict 60B. Distinguished presenters, Ms. Camille Steer, Dr. Noel Morgan, Mrs. Nikisha Barrett-Bryan, and Miss Alicia Little. Members of the leadership team of the UWI Open Campus, distinguished Lions and Leos, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to this, the third and final in the webinar series, The Scoop on COVID-19, which is an initiative of the UWI Open Campus Jamaica Eastern Division, headed by Miss Levine Griffiths, and the Lions Club of New Kingston, whose current president is Lion Angela Patterson. I am Elaine Robinson, Chairperson, Zone 4 of Lions Club Subdistrict 60B. I also happen to be a past Deputy Chief Financial Officer of the University of the West Indies, and up to recently was acting in the position of Chief Financial Officer of the UE Open Campus. So it is indeed a pleasure for me to be serving in the role of moderator for this evening's event. There may be some of you in the audience who may not have been a part of webinars 1 and 2. So permit me just to make a few comments about those. Webinar 1 was titled COVID-19 and Your Health. And webinar 2 dealt with the issue of maintaining your mental well-being during COVID-19. Both webinars are available on YouTube. So if those topics interest you, or you may know of anyone who may have an interest in hearing some of the very useful information that was shared, please do advise them of the fact that those webinars are available for them to view at their convenience. This evening, our webinar is focused on the challenges, the financial challenges that the crisis created by COVID-19. And as the planning team went through to decide what our focuses were going to be in webinars, this was identified as really one of the most difficult consequences of COVID that so many families have to deal with. So we were careful in trying to wanting to make the webinar one which not just focuses on the challenges, but hopefully will provide you with some thinking in terms of how you can address the problems that you face and some possible opportunities that may be out there for you as you have faced these challenges that have emerged. We have therefore tried to be very careful in our selection of panelists to present to you this evening, and I'm hoping that you will indeed find this to be a very rewarding experience. Before we get into our presentations, there are two senior representatives, one from the UWI Open Campus and one from the Lions Club, who I will ask to bring greetings. So I'd like to start with Professor Meeks Gardner, who, as I indicated, is the Director of the Office of Graduate Studies and Research at UE Open Campus, and also a member of the COVID-19 Task Force established by the UWI. So over to you, Prof. Meeks.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Robinson. Good evening to everyone. Allow me to adopt the protocols that have already been established. I bring greetings to you from the University of the West Indies Open Campus and also from the University of the West Indies COVID-19 Task Force. Congratulations to Lion Elaine Robinson and University of the West Indies Open Campus Jamaica Eastern, Head of Site, Levine Griffiths, my colleague, on putting together this webinar. We are all looking forward to learning how to cope with this financial crisis brought on by the pandemic. Really hoping to get some tips for us all. Please allow me to remind you of one thing. Everyone, please take all precautions. Even if you have had your vaccinations, still maintain your mask wearing, your social distancing, your hand washing. I know that we all want to be able to look back at this time from some safe place in the future and be able to say, this is what it was like. So thank you all very much. And back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Professor Meeks, for bringing greetings on behalf of Open Campus. We now would open up the mic and invite Dr. Paulette McGregor, who's Chairperson Region 4 of Lions Club Subdistrict 60B, to bring us greetings.
Mrs. Elaine Robinson, Chairperson, and for this evening's function, and Zone Chair for Region 4B, Lions International. Professor Julia Meeks Gardner, Director of Office of Graduate Studies, and Ms. Camille Steer, Corporate Manager, Fund Services, Jamaica Money Market Brokers, Dr. Noel Morgan, Chief Financial Officer, UWI Open Campus, Mrs. Nikisha Barrett Bryan, Credit Relations Officer, Development Bank of Jamaica, Mrs. Sterling Robinson, COVID-19 survivor, Mrs. Alicia Little, founder, POW Social Digital Agency, and Angela Pattinson, President of the Lions Club of New Kingston. Lions, colleagues, friends, good evening. I am grateful for the opportunity to bring greetings to this very august gathering. You've had two of these meetings and gatherings before, and the first two were very, very successful, and I have no doubt the third one will be equally successful. Your topic, coping in the financial crisis caused by COVID-19, is a very relevant topic. None of us budgeted for COVID-19. Our households, our businesses and governments, locally and worldwide, none of us budgeted for it. So this is a real tragic situation. Those of us who had savings, whatever is that, we had to pull from it in order to put together medicines, remedies, and all sorts of things. And we went into panic mode with panic shopping. None of this we budgeted for. So we over-purchased the traditional medicines. We went to the doctors and got all sorts of things looking for cures that did not exist. So we went to a panic buying situation. There are tremendous costs associated with merchants, and they've all escalated their costs in this situation. So every single thing that you buy that could be associated with this pandemic, the prices have skyrocketed. The tragedies of this situation are loss of jobs or loss of working hours, reduced salaries, yet increased spending. So we do have a challenge. Therefore, less money to work with, learning to live with less financial resources, reduced standard of living, changing in lifestyle, and those of us who are accustomed to going out for meals, we have to start cooking inside, either because of the cost or because of fear. So our whole lifestyle has changed. And again, these additional costs, they were not budgeted for, and a lot of places they were nowhere to be found. So what we do now, we have to go and look at the financial institutions. Some of us really don't have the backup to go to a financial institution to get funding. So the financial institutions will now have to revisit their situation and to see how they can help us to manage in this pandemic. Then we look at the children. They are shut down. Some of them can't cope with the online learning facilities. And what we have is a double situation, because if the children are under 12 years old, they also will have to get somebody to stay at home with them. And that's an additional cost that was not looked for. So all of these things that are caused by COVID-19, these are things we must look at. But this evening, I'm looking forward to listening to the persons from the banking institutions and all of these institutions that might make a difference and add value to our current situation. All of us will now have to be flexible and really look again at our lifestyle. It would have taught us, COVID would have taught us that we were overspending and overdoing. So I look back And I now look forward to all the speakers this evening and see how much value they can add and what we can come away with. And thank you so much for the opportunity to give my bit this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Lion Paulette, Dr. Paulette. Now, before we move directly into our presentations, let me just outline to you how we're going to proceed with the rest of the evening. Each of the presenters will do their presentations. So it's not until the end, after all presentations have been done, will we have a question and answer session. So I'm therefore encouraging our audience after each presentation for you to note any questions you may have arising from that presentation, note it in the chat, and we have a team who will take your question and log it so that when we come to the question and answer period, we'll have it. So after each one, like I say, it's probably best if you do that, just in case you might forget what you want to ask, the questions you might want to ask. Do it as we go along. Right? Okay, so moving on to our first presentation for this evening. Our first presenter is Miss Camille Steer. Ms. Steer currently serves as corporate manager with Jamaica Money Market Brokers, fund managers, and she joined them in 2012. She has, as a background, 15 years experience in the finance sector with expertise in insurance, retail banking, and pension fund management. In her capacity as corporate manager at JMMB Fund Managers, Camille provides leadership and oversight for client relationship management, pension fund revenue growth, and property management services. This evening, in her presentation, she's going to focus on personal investments and pension concerns that may be out there as emerging from the financial crisis that's caused by COVID. Over to you, Camille.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. So this presentation, when you're looking on it, the word financial resilience, that is the scoop. That is literally the scoop as it relates to your investment portfolio and your finances. Now, when we're looking on the finances and just making sure that when you're looking on your finances, it is how do you build a framework? How do you build a framework and your portfolio can, one, survive, thrive, recover, and adapt? Because that is what you want. You want to be able to grow. You want to be able to still survive. And one of the key things that would have been highlighted by one of the speakers is not to panic. And when we looked on the stock market specifically last year, if you looked on your portfolio, whether or not if you had shares, if you had BNS shares, NCB shares, whatever it is, when you looked on the overall stock market, you would have seen a steep decline. And you would have said, you know what, almost as if you were in a panic. Now, that panic would have said, you know, maybe I need to sell off my stocks, I need to reduce my holdings, but you should not panic. We recognize that there's an end in sight now with the rollout of vaccines. You need to review your holdings of stock, and we recognize also that it is not a good time to sell good companies. So the first thing is do not panic, but we still have to have what we call a framework. And it is a framework to build resilience, and that is what we call the ABC framework. And it is firstly A, audit. You have to audit your finances and create a pathway for financial well-being. And that audit is almost as if it's a financial spa day. It is a self-care day for you. And you would take probably 1 or 2 or 3 times for the year when you just examine every single thing as it relates to your finances. And you're identifying your total income, you're examining any non-essential expenses, and then you're also looking on researching opportunities through your network, or you establish a business or invest in assets that can possibly generate additional income. So that is the first step, you audit your finances. Now, what are some of the tips for examining your personal finances? You're looking on, and a tip is look on your grocery bill receipts. One of the things with a lot of panic buying, persons use their credit card because they were just in a panic buying groceries. You also need to examine your monthly utility bills. your personal loan payments, that was an excellent time now for you to say, look here now, let me look on my loan payments, whether it is for your car, your house, look on it, your credit cards, can I consolidate and try to get it at a lower interest rate so it can give you some breathing room. And that brings you now.
Mr. Sorry to interrupt. If you're showing slides, we're not seeing them. So,
okay.
Yes, we're not seeing. So I don't know if you want to try to see if you can remedy that.
Let me try again.
That's probably looking more. Yeah, we're with you now. You can just put it in the screen. Correct. We're there
All
now.
right. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So let me just quickly recap that what you wanted to do, you didn't want to panic. So you didn't want to sell your stocks. You didn't want to reduce, your portfolio holdings immediately because you recognize that you're in a panic. So you did not want to panic. And then what I would have highlighted is that you audit your finances. So you're looking on your expenses and you're trying to identify additional sources of income. So that is one of the things that you're looking on when you're doing ABC framework. And that the first step is audit of your finances. Tips to examining your personal finances. You're also looking on your grocery bill receipts. I would have mentioned that you're also looking on consolidating your loan payments, whether it is your car, your house, all of these things to possibly give you some breathing room. Budgeting, that brings you to B now. Budgeting. When you audit your finances, a budget is just simply a written plan highlighting how it is that you plan to, move forward. But firstly, you have to audit your finances. You cannot just do it in a vacuum. And the audit would reveal exactly where it is that you need to cut certain expenses. And what we are looking for, essentially coming from the audit and going into the budget now, is something that is realistic. Something that is realistic that you can move forward and ensure that you can build resilience in terms of your portfolio and creating that discipline to stay on track. Now, tips for your budget and how to stay on track. Pay yourself first by allocating a specific amount of your income to your medium, short, and long-term goals. You have to have a specific dollar amount. Too many times you hear persons say, yes, I have my medium-term goals, but what is that dollar amount? Is it 5 million? Is it 6 million? Is it 2 million? You have to have a specific dollar amount because that will inform you now as to how much it is that you should put aside towards achieving that goal. And you also need to look on identifying your needs as opposed to your wants. And one of the tips that we have in maintaining your budget is what we call 10 to 15 no-spend days. What are no-spend days? In a month, you have 10 days or 15 days where you don't spend any cash and you don't buy anything at all. So you deliberately say, look here, I'm not buying anything on this day. So it helps to cultivate that particular habit as it relates to you being disciplined and staying on track with your budget. Then consistency. So once you do the audit of your finances, you'd have documented your short-term goals, your medium-term goals, and your short-term goals. Essentially, you're building an emergency fund. The next goal, medium-term goals, it may be aspirations for a car or house. You documented that. You have to be consistent. And that is what we call the superpower to achieving all your financial goals. So it is therefore important that you consistently put funds towards your financial goals. And the benefit of that is that you develop strong financial habits and ultimately you can build your confidence, your financial confidence in achieving your goals because that is what you want. So that brings me to wisdom for all ages to build your resilience. And in your 20s to 30s, what you want to do is ensure that you determine your goals. Enroll in your retirement plan at work. We see data coming out of the Financial Services Commission that even though we have several pension arrangements, that persons are still not enrolling in pension arrangements. So you need to ensure that after that, that you enroll in your retirement plan, whether it is at work or you enroll in an approved retirement scheme. Create a budget. It is essential for us that element of teaching our children, even from high school, from prep or primary school, that we teach them essentials of creating a budget and even sticking with a budget. So it is not when you reach into the working world that you're hearing about this for the first time. In a culture of Instagram, there's a tendency for persons to overspend. So, to look, nice car, take a good picture. And a lot of persons are going into a lot of debt to have that lifestyle, to have that Instagram lifestyle, some persons. So you don't want to have that burden. And again, build an emergency fund. In your 40s, what you're going to be doing is reviewing your retirement income goal, increasing your contributions, and also looking on your asset allocation. And that asset allocation can be exposure to bonds, shares. I mean, it's a myriad of unit trusts, and you're looking on your asset allocation and rebalancing as needed. You're also going to be reviewing your insurance needs. And one of the things that a lot of persons don't do is they create or update their will. A lot of persons, they don't have a will, sadly so. And when you die intestate, there's so much confusion, and you don't want that. And again, reducing your debt. Debt can be an albatross for you achieving your financial goals. So you need to ensure that, again, you're looking on reducing debt. In your 50s and 60s, with what you're doing, focus on what lies ahead. So you're reviewing your entire portfolio and you're reviewing your annuity options. What are your annuity options? You get your annuity options, whichever administrator who manages your fund, they would provide options, whether it is at retirement, through virtue of you looking on member statements. You also have that information. The more knowledge you have, the more informed you are, ultimately, in terms of asking the relevant questions. What is this particular option I can get at early or late retirement? What you want to also do in your 50s to 60s is try and forecast what your expenses will be and also review your insurance coverage. So further pension considerations in your 50s and 60s, and this is critical. We would have seen that COVID, it was the perfect storm. There being low interest, suffering low interest, the stock market falling off, and persons may or would have been forced to go on early retirement, and you don't want that. You wouldn't want to crystallize, or you wouldn't want to go on retirement at that point in time, because effectively what you're doing is reducing, one, your capacity to say, okay, let me continue to build on my retirement portfolio. Two, you would have taken that step towards going on early retirement almost as if it was an emergency fund, and that should not have been the case. So we recognize the importance of creating a portfolio that has that resilience to withstand whatever challenges that comes at it. And yes, what you're going to be doing is ensuring that you monitor that consistently. So we also would have had some considerations as it relates to being in your 50s and 60s, is that your budget, you may have felt squeezed because yes, you may have been panic shopping, and you may have been tempted to reduce your contributions because you need some breathing room. You don't want to do that. Remember, one of the things is that you actually get a tax benefit. So you would have possibly, you're losing a tax benefit, the tax relief, because of the fact that you would have reduced some amount of your contributions. So if you can afford to, still consistently make that contribution. We'd have also seen, coming from the different institutions, them offering payment holidays on mortgages, credit cards, and other loans. And while it may offer some temporary respite, remember that that interest still builds up, and that interest can again still be an albatross around your neck, and it holds you back, it constrains you from achieving your financial goals. So these are some of the important considerations that you'd have to have, specifically if you're close to retirement. Do not panic. Look on your portfolio. Ask your investment manager, administrator, the relevant questions as it relates to the performance of the fund. What are the options at retirement? And remember that even if you're part of a pension arrangement, that is the The second pillar. The first pillar, if you're in Jamaica, it would be the national insurance scheme. You need to go and research what are the benefits, how can I access that? Because that is also a part of the retirement portfolio. And if you're Trinidad, it would be the National Insurance Board. So a lot of persons are not aware of some of these benefits. And it is up to you, armed with that knowledge, to say, this is what I have in my retirement portfolio, so that again, you can ensure that your money gives you the financial security and independence that you want, especially in retirement. So when you're looking on your portfolio, and I would have said from your 20s or 30s, ideally what you want with your portfolio is that it should contain, in terms of growth component, especially when you're younger. So that growth component would have possibly seen you looking on getting stocks, whether it is through initial public offerings. But if you are looking on building your retirement portfolio, you may decide to put stocks that have a good dividend policy, and you need to look on the dividend yield of that particular company. Good, strong companies would be in your portfolio, because that is going to be some element or some supplemental income that you would have along with whatever pension that you're going to be receiving. And when you're also looking on your portfolio, whether it is you have bonds, so if you have bonds in your portfolio, you have bonds in there so that you can support your cash flow. And also what you're looking on, again, the questions that you need to ask your financial advisor, the maturity of the bond, the credit quality or the coupon frequency, all of these things are important, especially when you're trying to build out a portfolio that is resilient. If you have unit trust, again, ask the relevant questions. Don't just look on the high returns. What is the rate over the last 5 to 10 years? Those are the probing questions that you need to ask your financial advisors. Don't just go buy a product, buy this. You need to have those probing questions so that when you're building out your portfolio, again, it can be resilient. So smart moves to ensure resilience is that you research benefits and conditions, especially for your retirement benefits, especially for your retirement portfolio. Review your investment account statements, understand how your funds are being invested, assess the standard of living costs. Your risk tolerance changes from time to time. Again, your risk tolerance that you had in your 20s is different from what is that you'd have in your 50s or 60s. You have to also understand the tax implications in retirement and how you can access different benefits, specifically coming from the first pillar of the social framework that we have, whether it is through a national insurance scheme or national insurance board. And again, take advantage of tax-free investments. Finally, building the portfolio is that it is simple as ABC. 1, auditing your finances. 2, budgeting. See consistently. Do not panic. Develop a plan. Don't do it in a vacuum. Plan for contingencies, and don't be afraid of investing once you're armed with the knowledge to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Camille. I'm hoping that our retirees have been listening very keenly, those people who are close to retirement, about the cautions that they need to take in terms of looking at their situation and trying to make, I say, wise decisions as to how they should act at this crucial time in terms of determining their financial funds available to them as they move into the retirement years. Our next presenter is Dr. Noel Morgan. Dr. Morgan is a chartered accountant who has many years of experience in the area of finance and accounting. He has worked in both the public and private sectors, but he has spent pretty much, I think, probably the last 2.5 decades with the University of the West Indies. The bulk of those years have been as a senior member of the finance and accounting staff at the University of the West Indies Mona campus. That's where he spent pretty much all of those 25 years. He, in December of 2020, changed from Mona campus and he assumed the role of Chief Financial Officer of the UWI Open Campus on 1st of December 2020. He is also an avid, I should say, person who loves to teach. And so therefore he spends a lot of his time as an adjunct lecturer at a number of universities. Dr. Morgan this evening is going to speak to you on what many families have to face now because of reduced income, and that is adjusting your budget to deal with the current circumstances of financial loss. Dr. Morgan?
Thank you, Elaine. Good evening, everybody. I trust you are well. And following the tremendous presentation done by Camille, I, as Elaine has said, want to focus on how to adjust your budget, especially during these COVID times. So the economic impact of COVID-19 has left many families, especially families with children, under financial distress. The crisis and its reverberations have resulted in levels of economic distress unheard of since the 1930s. But COVID was also a seismic shock, even for families that lost no income due to the abrupt closure of schools, parents with depressive symptoms, stress, diminished sense of hope, and children who found themselves disconnected from their classmates, working perhaps in situations where the connectivity and the necessary tools for home-based learning are not necessarily in place, resulting in frustration and other issues for the family. That is why adjusting the budget is so key, because from a financial perspective, this is where most families have felt the impact of the pandemic. So if we're talking about adjusting the family budget, it's important to understand the whole concept of money management and why it is important. Basic money management is about meeting your family's everyday expenses, handling unexpected bills, and saving for the future. The truth is, if you can control your spending, if you can increase your income, it will help you avoid many of the stresses that we experience as a result of COVID. And I want to also say, importantly, that we're talking about the family budget. Very often, parents will sit together, the partners, and they'll work out, if they do, a plan, ignoring the children. But I'm saying here, it is extremely important that we include the family, that there's communication in the family, that honest conversations with your partner, with your children, your teens, be given considerations as we look at the family budget. The key really is to budget to spend less money than you are earning. So there's some key questions that I'd like you to consider. So what's your income? Has that changed? What are your expenses? How much debt do you have? And I'm going to focus a little bit on debt a little later on. Are you hiding from creditors? There's some persons who, because of the challenges of not handling the debt situation, don't even take unknown calls from their cell phones. How do you stretch the dollar? How do you really survive in these financial challenges, with these financial challenges, when you are so stressed out? And yes, Camila has spoken about it. Do you have a will? And have you budgeted? I'm going to suggest that if you're going to manage your finances, then you need to start writing down your goals. Harvard Business Study found that 83% of the population in 2020 do not have goals. Can you imagine this? 14% have a plan in mind, but these are unwritten goals, while only 3% have goals that are written down. Well, the truth is, the 14% who have goals are 10 times more successful than those without goals. But the 3% with written goals are 3 times more successful than the 14%. Clearly, it is important to write your goals down. So why is it necessary to adjust your family budget? Why is this important? Well, you need to consider, as a result of the crisis, changes in your family situation. Many families have found that there is job losses or reduced working hours. You now have to find ways to survive. Taking care of loved ones who have become ill as a result of the pandemic, and perhaps not necessarily because of COVID itself, but other factors which have become worse because of the existing conditions. Can't pay bills and not knowing what to do. Trying to decide what you want versus what you need. And importantly, knowing where your cash is going instead of wondering where it went. And that is why the whole question of budgeting is important. And Camille did such a good job that I will just think about it very quickly. Two essential elements if you're thinking about budgeting: clear thinking and common sense. The truth is, budgeting is one of the first steps in financial management. And if it's important for you to understand that you don't just make a budget and put it down. You need to be able to adjust based on changing situation. A budget is an estimate of your income and expenditures over a given period of time. And you will need to create your own budget depending on your income cycle. There are some persons who have income that comes in predominantly at the end of the month, some weekly, some fortnightly, some even daily. But the advantage is that when you adjust your budget and learn how to budget properly, that it helps you to control your spending, to track your expenses, and show where shortages will occur even before it happens. So if you look at a simple budget template, and I will not have time to go through this, but essentially the idea of a budget is you'd want to put a simple chart where you list, first of all the sources of income that's available to your family. Salaries if there's salaries, income from side jobs, any remittances that you get, any money that you get from investments that Camille has spoken about, any source of funding. You want to list all of these because for a period of time, you want to see exactly what are the possible income sources. Then you are going to be listing all of your expenses. Now, there are some expenses that we need to prioritize. So we have what we call fixed expenses, which might include in your family budget things like mortgage repayment or rent. You might consider to some extent utilities, electricity, even the internet, taxes, school or tertiary fees, health, car, and also insurance. But there might be some variable expenses, such as food. Well, that can be variable. Home maintenance and household goods, school uniforms, medical and dental fees, car repairs. There are a number of expenses when we speak of variable that you can incur them, but if you are against the wall with the pressures of life, you could decide to put them off without necessarily affecting many major activities in your life. Working out how much money you need for everyday essentials like food, housing, utilities. All of these are important so that you have enough to take care of the business of living. Now, I want to introduce to you a very simple concept. It's a concept known as the 50-15-5 rule. What is this? If you look at all your income sources, you'd want to try to budget to spend just about 50% on essentials, 15% on retirement savings. This is very important. If you're using up all the funds you have available without saving and without putting away something for a rainy day, you're in trouble. And then there's also the question of short-term savings. So if you take a 50, 15, and 5, that's 20, the remaining 30% then becomes yours to use as you see fit. Savings, very important. And investments. I won't even go here because Camille did such a beautiful job. But I want to focus in the remaining time on this critical matter. the matter of managing debt. If you can't make your payments now, or you need more time, you do not run away from your obligations. You need to know who and how much you owe. You need to strive to pay your bills on time every month. But with reducing income, with loss of jobs, sometimes that's not possible. So if you cannot make your payments, what you'll have to do is to not run away or hide or stop taking the calls, but to go to your lenders and creditors. You need to contact them and explain your situation. And may I suggest that you go in mind with some information. You need to be able to share with them your financial and employment situation. You need to be able to advise them how much you can afford. When is it likely that you're going to be able to restart your regular payments? And be prepared to discuss your income, your expenses, so that you can make a decision with you as to how to treat them. But if you hide away, then a lot of other negative implications will compound your situation. So there are some do's. You need to get a copy of your credit report. You need to try and eliminate your high interest bearing debt. You need to acknowledge that if you have a lot of debt, it may indicate that you are living beyond your means, and this is time to cut back. That is why your budget is so important. You need to make arrangements, as I said before, but there are also some don'ts. Don't be an ostrich by trying to hide. Avoid additional debt. Don't ignore letters of demand. It's important. Then there's the whole matter of managing credit cards. Credit cards are good things to have, but there are some rules. You need to pay off the balance every month. Otherwise, you're going to be hit with increasing interest charges, uninterest charges. You need to maximize your reward points. You need to not go overboard, not because you have credit. Don't just rush to buy things. Make a distinction between what you want and what is needed. Even when you get increased credit limit, use only that which you have. I would suggest, for example, that if you have a credit card balance, it is better to use your salary and pay that off and reuse the credit card during the month, because after 30 days, interest charge kicks in. Managing your credit card and keeping a close eye on credit score makes sense. Now, look at this. You need to plan your meals. Don't just go to the supermarket. Don't just go to Mega Mart and Price Mart, wherever. Plan your meals. Make a shopping list. You need to shop carefully. Avoid compulsive shopping. This will help you save a lot of money. So you need to plan with your family. What is the menu for the week? What exactly do you need? And purchase based on that list, not based on what you see when you go to the shop. Now, what about leftovers? There are many persons who waste food. This is a no-no, especially in these times. There are several ways to be creative with leftover foods. Mix and match. Take your meals to work, etc. We talk about investing in yourself. Find new income streams. Use creative ways to monetize your skills. There's so many persons who, because they're staying at home and because they're under curfew, have discovered that they can maximize earnings by learning new skills or by doing what they do well. When at home, build your skill reserves. Start a small business if that is possible. Build an emergency fund. There will always be need for this. I am going to end by talking about something that I love. Home gardening, simple. Instead of just having flowers in your front yard or in tires, why not do some gardening? There's a lot of evidence that this helps in many ways. It beat the boredom of lockdown and curfews. You get enough vitamin D. We call it the sunshine vitamin. You get to play in the dirt, to connect with Mother Earth. When last have you gone out into the dirt and enjoyed the beauty of it? You need to get to beat the stress, to learn to relax in nature with God, to enhance creative ability, to grow your own food, and to exercise. So since you can't go walking because you're in lockdown, exercise by doing some farming. Look at this. I have, since COVID, did this. In my backyard, I have all of the vegetables, cabbage, callaloo, turmeric, cauliflower, you name it. I have plantains and pumpkins, and part of my area is a lot of stones. In between the stones, I plant. I plant cucumber, okra, you name it. I plant tomatoes, pak choy, sweet and hot pepper, onion, mint. I plant even my own herbs, basil, parsley, mint, you name it. It's fun to be able to go out and cut banana and plantain and reap from your own backyard. I'm saying you need to adjust your budget. You don't have to spend money. You can turn what you have, you know, they say, turn your hand and make fashion. You go out there and change the pattern of your life. Take the stress off. Be creative. Put investment in your family. Spend time, quality with your family. Instead of stressing about money, spend time playing with the family, bonding. Spend time farming together. Spend time learning new skills together. And I'm sure that as you adjust your budget, you are going to find life much more interesting and much more affordable. Thank you so very much. Happy adjustment to your budget.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Morgan. Don't be surprised if you have persons coming up there to get some vegetables, right? All they need to for you to give them the address. But it was a very, very informative presentation, and I trust that, you know, persons have taken away all of those ideas that you've given. And both yourself and our first presenter, Ms. Steer, have given persons things, food for thought, and I hope that person will take it away. I just want to add a little bit of statistics in relation to the presentations that have been made so far, and also that feeds into our next presentation. If you go on the Statin website, and they have done some surveys of persons who are now struggling in terms of financially because of COVID, and their interviews covered about 535 persons. And of that 535, which included about almost 50-50 between households and small business owners, there were 100,000 of those persons who indicated that they had some form of coping strategy. And when you look at the coping strategies, the biggest one, which was like 40,000 of the 100,000, were for persons who said they're just trying to cut the budget. That's their coping strategy. Then you had the next highest one were getting loans from family and friends. The strategy with the next in ranking number 3 was selling their possessions, selling things that they have. And the other one, which came last, was actually going to your financial institution to see if you can get a loan. And that was a little over 10,000 who did that. So a lot of people don't really have a strategy as to how to cope. So I'm hoping that we can get the word out as to what people can do to help themselves. Now, our next presenter is going to take us on another dimension. The first 2 presentations were more on the individual and family considerations. Our next presenter.
Screen share, yeah? Yes.
Our next presenter is Mrs. Nikisha Barrett Bryan, and she is going to take us into the realm of small business enterprises. Mrs. Barrett Bryan has a 16-year history in banking and assisting small businesses. She has been a personal banker and is presently an employee of the Jamaica Development Bank, performing the role of credit officer.
Left click.
Okay, we're hearing you. Can you mute a little? Yes. She is presently employed at the Jamaica Development Bank, performing the role of credit officer, which has her interacting on a daily basis with representatives from the small and medium enterprises and relating to them on financial matters. She's currently pursuing her master's degree in marketing and data analysis. This evening, Mrs. Barrett Bryan is going to present to us on support that's available for SMEs and startups. Mrs. Bryan, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. All protocols observed. You know, every day business operators, they do face challenges. And for so many, those challenges have been exacerbated by COVID-19. Now, I'm sure none of us here, whether we own a business or not, we could not have foreseen the year that has passed. Unfortunately, many businesses have been forced to close their doors. And for those that remain open, my view is that there are opportunities that they can definitely take advantage of and come out of this experience even stronger. Now, many of us would be familiar with the saying that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. No. Just a second. Our mission here at DBJ is to provide support to small businesses in times like these and and beyond. Now, over the years, we have consulted with our stakeholders that include small businesses as well as financial institutions. Now, from these consultations, we have noted consistent challenges. And some of these challenges faced by MSMEs are, where it concerns business documentation, insufficient collateral, and the challenges they face in accessing capital or credit. Now, bearing all of that in mind, we at DBJ have come up with a suite of products that can help small businesses in navigating these challenges. And so the first thing I'm going to mention is our grant program. And I mentioned this specifically because it can help a lot of small businesses to navigate the challenge of having a structure to their business. Because I find that in my communication with persons who either, they've been operating for a long time, or even if they've recently started to operate, they fail to have a structure in place. Because as for us, a lot of business owners, they treat their business as if it's a hustle. And we know what that means for us here in Jamaica when we say, it's my little hustle, right? Failing that they have not planned or put in place any plans that can have them ready to be borrowing ready. Now, our grants afford them the prospect of being able to get financing, because through the grant, they're able to put that structure in place. And you may wonder how. Now, as it suggests, it's a grant, so that means it's money that they don't have to pay back. And so they can access this grant to, get services, for example, technical services, whether it is to put a business plan in place, or if it is to, get business management coaching, or to get their financials done. So with that grant program, it will see us helping them in not only being able to access it, but to pay for it. It's called our voucher for technical assistance, and how they're able to manage it, to access it, is through our website. So it's not even something that you have to come into DBJ to access, or you have to go to your bank. You can simply log on to our website, which is dbjvoucher.com, and complete an application. You get a response within 5 business days, and you take that to the service provider that you would have chosen when you're doing your application. Not only is it that we try to help as many businesses that we can, but we pay for a significant amount of the cost to access the service. So we pay 70% of the cost, and the business owner finds 30%. Now, because we're trying to help as many MSMEs as we can, you are allowed 1 voucher per business every 2 years. So we always encourage you to look at the gaps in your business, see what exactly it is you need, and then from there you apply for a voucher that can assist you in getting the help that you would need. I mentioned as well that we provide loan assistance. Now, we don't lend directly here at DBJ. However, we partner with just about every financial institution in Jamaica. And so you can access our loans through your banks. We provide up to 90% of the project cost. It's not 90% of the loan amount, but 90% of the project cost. For large entities, it's 70% of the loan amount, the project cost that we finance. The maximum loan amount, though, for small and medium-sized businesses is $100 million. And the interest rates are really, really very competitive. As a matter of fact, if you were to access a DBJ loan through your financial institution, you're looking at an interest rate of about 8.75% per annum on a reducing balance. Or we are very flexible as well as it relates to the loan tenure. And so you can get a loan, a DBJ funded loan for up to 10 years. We consider too that for many businesses, it may be that you don't start earning immediately. So for example, if you have a poultry farm and it may take a little time for the chickens to become ready, then of course, we do offer you the option of having a moratorium of up to 24 months on your principal payment. So it gives you some amount of wiggle room that allows you to start earning before you actually start paying the principal on your loan. I mentioned as well that we provide collateral support. Now, in our discussions with MSMEs and the banks, a big challenge is getting collateral. Now, you may own a business and you may have owned it for some time, but you don't own the property, or maybe even if you have equipment, the banks won't accept it as collateral, or any one of those circumstances could be yours as a business owner. So we here at DBJ provide you that option of DBJ guaranteeing a portion of the loan. So for loans up to $30 million, we support 80% in terms of guarantee. If it is a small loan of up to $11 million, then we provide collateral support of up to 90% of that loan amount. Now for startups, there is help for you as well. So for startup businesses in operation up to 24 months, you can also benefit from this collateral support. And the guarantees can be on the loan for the life of the loan. So you can choose to have it for the life of the loan, or you can choose to, if you already have some kind of collateral in place and you want to cancel it, then of course you can. Now, there is some administrative fee that you pay each year, because it's really kind of like you're renting security, putting it in a simpler form. And that fee is 2% per annum, and that's also on a reducing balance, because that fee is based on how much remains on the guaranteed amount for the loan, right? Now, there are so many businesses that have benefited from the credit enhancement facility, and it's not just small businesses, it's also large businesses, right? So I'm gonna just share some testimonials with you through this short video so that you can see for yourself how well this program has been working. And if you have a small business, know how we can help you, or if it is that you are planning to open a business, we can support you in getting to the stage where you're ready to borrow. And when you are ready to borrow, you can actually apply for this for support. Are you able to hear the video? I just want to check.
Not hearing us yet. Is there sound at the moment? Not hearing us yet.
All right.
Facility.
Hearing now, yes.
2009. And since that, we've been able to support 7.8 billion in loans to MSMEs. And this is from providing 3.3 billion in guarantees to support those loans. The number of businesses that have benefited from these loans under the CEF is almost 600 businesses.
The new CEF will double the amount of guarantee that we are going to be providing. Previously, we were providing $15 million. We are now, we have doubled that to $30 million. Previously, we only offered 50% guarantees on loans. We have moved that up to 80% on loans, up to a maximum of $30 million.
For many, many years, for decades actually, the micro, small and medium enterprises in the productive sector have been unable to access financing because the collateral that they had are unacceptable to most of the financial institutions.
I think the new CEF will indeed be a game changer for small and medium-sized enterprises' ability to access financing.
So the DBJ facility is an exceptional one, and I would encourage any small business, or if not every small business, to pursue this loan?
I would definitely recommend this facility for other medical personnel and other medical businesses, because a lot of our assets are really non-traditional and we have great difficulty in using them to secure facilities. So it helps a great deal in that regard.
We're extremely excited about it. This partnership, we believe, will unleash full potential and opportunities for the MSMEs. And we'll look forward, we're enthusiastic about it. Our memberships will be enthusiastic. And we'll look forward to making a paradigm shift in the MSMEs.
So when we found out about the new CEF facility, the new improved facility, we're very excited.
It is our intention to do a second round of expansion, and the new CEF will help us tremendously in that regard.
So we expect that this product will have a significant impact on the marketplace, as we have long recognized that the lack of adequate security on the part of small and medium-sized enterprises has been a major hurdle in terms of their access to finance.
And now you may wonder, what are the criteria for being able to access these facilities from DBJ? So first of all, you need to be a registered and operating business in Jamaica. You also need to have your TCC or a tax compliance certificate. It has to be a technically and financially viable project. And you also have to have some sweat equity in the project. So you have to have between 20 to 30% in terms of how much you're willing to inject. And it also has to positively contribute to our economy, because after all, that is what we're here to build. And so for persons who may be thinking about a business, those who may already have a business that you want to expand, I know COVID is daunting, but now is the time to plan. Now is the time to look for those opportunities so that you can start to grow. When you are ready for business, DBJ is also ready for business, open for business. And you have my contact details here. You can make a note of it. If it is that you have any questions, or you simply want to find out how you can start that conversation with your bank and begin to access our facilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Barrett-Bryan, for that very informative presentation. And I hope that persons have taken away the possibilities that exist for them as far as obtaining some financial support to probably get them where they need to in their small businesses. We now move to our final presenter for this evening, and we're shifting gears slightly. This presenter is going to trigger your thoughts about the possibility of income generation from a source you probably may not have, many of you, if not all of you, may not have considered as far as income generation is concerned. Her name is Miss Alicia Little, and she is a highly sought after speaker and coach, but she is primarily known for helping people to start their online businesses. She has trained thousands of people across the globe and has a 21-year track record of experience as an online entrepreneur. She is the founder of Pow Social, a digital marketing company that's based in Jamaica, and she has some very well-known corporate customers. She also produces a weekly segment on the Jamaica Public Broadcasting Channel, PBCJ, called the Digital Jampreneur, right? Through which she teaches everyday people how to use the internet to improve their lives. And she also has a segment in the news. She has proven that there is indeed money to be earned through the internet. And she sees the internet as that great equalizer, allowing people from all backgrounds to build wealth regardless of their past. Ms. Little, we look forward to your presentation. Please proceed.
Thank you so much, Elaine. Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Alicia Little. I am CEO of Internet Income Jamaica, and POW Social Media. If you don't know us, we've been here for a decade. We're in Kingston and we teach people how to use this amazing thing called the internet to make money online. So in the next 14 minutes, I'm going to teach you just some basics of what you need to know in order to take what you already have, the skills and the talents you already have, and turn it into income online. So wherever you're watching this live stream, I just want you to comment money, money in the comments. Come on, do it. Say the word money twice. Money, money. You've learned so much today about budgeting, loans, how to manage your money, resilience. Now we're going to take it to the level of saying, okay, now that I learned all of that, how can I make some extra money? So if you're ready for that, it's money, money in the comments below. I see you guys. Yes, yes, yes. So here's the thing. The skills that you have today can make you money. Now, let me give you some examples. So anything that you do, let me pick one of my students, Leighton Price, right? So Leighton, what she does is she types. So let me ask you this. How many of you can type? If you can type, just say me in the comments. Wherever you are, just say me in the comments. Because what Leighton does is she takes audio and video files and types them up and gets paid for it. So Leighton would take this presentation right now. She would take it after it's over, and then she would type it up so that as you review it, you want to go back and review the points that Nikisha just talked about on the loan. If you don't want to watch the whole video, you can read the transcript. So I know a lot of us like to read the transcript. How many of you would love for that to be sent to you? Give me a 5 in the chat box, which is for a high 5, if you'd love for that to be sent to you. A lot of people. So here's the thing, someone has to do it. Now, the thing is that Leighton doesn't type up every word. If you haven't heard about, the machine technology that can do transcription, there are tools out there. My favorite is called Otter, OTTER.ai. And when Leighton takes this file and uploads it into that software, it'll type out every word that was said, and she just re-listens to it and fixes, any typos, takes out the oohs and ums. That is a complete business. And I talked to her yesterday, and she was telling me how she made $4,500 US doing this one service. That's it, just this one service. So what service can you provide that can make you an online income? It could be anything from the service that you do in your career. So we have a lot of amazing speakers that spoke before me. They could offer, services such as doing an online presentation or speaking or doing voiceover. What can you do? Do you have administrative skills? If you do, you can be a virtual assistant. Take whatever skill you currently have and turn it into a service online. I'm going to tell you my favorite website in just 1 minute that you can go on to offer your services online. But as you're starting off selling online, a service-based business is always the fastest way to make money. So let me give you an example. If you want to do social media graphics, there are a ton of companies out there that need social media graphics right now. How many of you know that that's true? You know that companies out there want to be active on social media. Just write true in the comments if you know that that's true. It's true. Okay. So it's true. Companies want it like crazy. My sister does this and she has orders every single day for this. So there's a free tool that I love. It's called Canva. Has anybody heard of Canva? Anybody out there heard of Canva? Canva.com. It's a totally free tool that allows you to do graphic design. And I promise you, you don't even have to be good because Canva is good for you. You don't have to be creative because Canva is creative for you. The software provides you totally free. Just there's a free account and paid account. You only need a free account. And the software provides you with templates. So you just type an Instagram post. It gives you all these templates that you edit, and boom, you've got a service that you can provide clients with online. Whether you are an accountant, a teacher, a lot of teachers are doing editing and proofreading. You can also do coaching, tutoring, anything. The sky is the limit. one of my students in Montego Bay, she started out her online career doing relationship coaching. She was 19 years old and not even in a relationship, but now she's married with a kid, but she did relationship coaching. Another one of my students listens. So this will be the last example I'll give you, and I want you to listen very closely to it. Come closer to the computer, closer, because this one you're not going to believe. So one of my students offers a service online where she listens to people, and that's what her service says. It says, I will be your friend and listen to you. It's $30, $35 US we charge everything in US dollars. Currency of the internet is US dollars. So she charges $35 to listen to you for 30 minutes. So I asked her, I'm like, one of her clients books with her every week. I'm like, what is he talking to you about? She said his dog, his coworkers, his siblings. You know, people, sometimes need someone to listen to them. Did you know that that's a service? And I give you that example to tell you that the possibilities are endless for what you can do. One of my most successful students, $6,000 US a month, Sonia, she has a 7th grade education. The thing that I love about the internet is it's the great equalizer. The internet doesn't care about your gender. It doesn't care about your race. It doesn't care about your degrees. Do you know what it cares about? It cares about the fact that you can do the thing that you say you can do, right? And deliver it passionately. I've been an internet marketer selling products and services online for 21 years. And not once, never, ever, not once has someone that bought my course, took a class of mine online or in person, or watched me or invited me to speak has asked me about my degrees, right? I worked hard for my bachelor's, I have my master's degrees, but not once has anyone asked me for it in 21 years. So I don't want you to put any limitations on being able to build an online business based on your background. There are no limitations. And the thing with the internet now is that it allows us to go global. For so many of us, the local economy doesn't have the capability to make us wealthy. So you have to look at being global and have clients here and here and here and here, places you've never been, but you can reach it through offering services online. So what is my favorite website to offer services online? You ready to write this down? Get your pen and paper out. This is my favorite website. I've been on this website since the day it opened in 2010. So that's now almost 10 and a half years. The site is called Fiverr.com. If you've ever heard me speak before, I am always talking about this site. Five, like the number 5 with 2 R's after it, Fiverr.com. Why do I love this site? Because people go to the site with their credit card out looking for a service. And if you are in front of them, if you have the service they want, they are going to buy from you. They don't go to the site to look and see. It's not a social media network. It's a site to buy services from other people. So you need to go where the people are looking to buy services and put yourself on there, put your services on that site. So Fiverr.com is my absolutely favorite site. What are the possibilities for you? I mean, let me tell you something. I've heard stories. I have students who, I told you, have a 7th grade education. Then I have people who have PhDs. I have attorneys and accountants that have worked on the site. I have someone as young as 13 years old. You can be 13 years old to work on the site. And someone with the age of 92, people who come on and have come to my classes to learn how to make income after they've retired. So there's no age limit. There's no, geographical limit. And my dream with Internet Income Jamaica is to make Jamaica the place when people think of outsourcing and when they think of, where am I going to go to find someone who has the skills that I need to build my business? The only place they look is Jamaica. Right now, the Philippines owns that crown, but we're taking it away. And so I just want to encourage you, you know what? Look at the skills you currently have and look at how you can turn that into a business online. And if you feel like you need more skills, reach out to me. My website is internetinkomejamaica.com, just how it sounds, internetinkomejamaica.com. You can look at our courses, you can reach out and contact me. But I want you to know that it's possible for you. And as you work on your budgeting and as you look for loans, the next thing that you need to think about is, how do I increase my income? What can I do after work? Or if you're not working, what can you do to bring in more money? This works, but you have to put in the time. It is work, and you are your own boss. You own your own business. You are your own boss. And I'm telling you that it is possible for you. We have trained thousands of people in Jamaica and all over the world to make money online and to start their online business. I wouldn't have it any other way. Wherever my laptop is and an internet connection, I'm in business. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for inviting me here today. Look at the skills that you have. Learn new skills. You can go to these two websites. One is called Google. The other is called YouTube. So much information out there. Consume the information. Reach out to me at internetinkomejamaica.com if you have any questions or interested in courses. But just know that there is no better time than today to start an online business. There's no better time than today. I started 21 years ago, and I haven't seen the growth of people coming online to buy services as I've seen during this pandemic. It's only going to go up from here. So today is the day that you say yes to your future and you build your online business. Elaine, thank you so much. And everybody, thanks for having me.
Okay. Thank you, Alicia, for taking us up to the sky here, man. Really, really, really inspirational, and for letting persons know the possibilities that are out there. Really, 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 really giving us a lot of food for thought. And I'm certain that pretty much everybody who has been listening have made some notes to take away, and in particular, Fiverr.com. Right? I'm almost certain that is there. And we're about to move into our question and answer session. And I want to ask one or two questions. And having heard Alicia, I'm going to take moderator's privilege. And I want to ask you one question, Alicia. So if you can open up your video, a thought that came to my head, which is a burning question for me. Sure. When you do an online business, right? Does that get registered anywhere for tax purposes and so on? What is the administrative side to an online business?
Sure. So when you first start your online business, you're working as just an individual. So a sole proprietor, you're working as an individual. And as your income increases, you need to register as a company. And there's a few reasons why you should do this, right? Loans, Nikisha talked about a lot of that. And so, when you first start off, you're just going to start off as Elaine Robinson and her business, but as a sole proprietor, as an individual. But I always say, when you make your first $1,000 US, go register your company, and then open up a business bank account. And then as you are earning online, the money that you earn, you have to make sure that it passes through your bank in order to be considered for things like loans, so that you can apply for a mortgage and a car loan in the future. A lot of people that earn online will leave their money, in an account called Payoneer. And that is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make when it comes to really looking to, build your income portfolio locally in Jamaica.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, I want to ask a question of Dr. Morgan. Dr. Morgan, I don't know if you can help, but I want to raise this question in any case. If you are out there and right now you're kind of struggling to get the dots to connect, and you indicated about actually communicating with your financial institution, and I'd indicated that the statin details indicate that was the category with which fewer persons actually did in terms of engaging a financial institution, but when they did, it was more for loans. So I'm saying, if you are in the position of having a loan that you owe and cannot pay it, can you just kind of give persons some advice in terms of moving forward with that, to, from a reputational point of view, and avoiding the stress down the road of having somebody come to your house and grabbing you out?
Okay, Elaine, thanks so very much. A very important question. First of all, please bear in mind that your reputation is really one of your best assets. And your credit facilities, if not managed, can be one of the most dangerous things to mess up your reputation. And that is why it is very important not to shy or hide away from your creditors. Remember that there are credit bureaus. There are, for all aspects of business, there are information out there on who you are. The credit bureau in Jamaica, which are approved and worldwide, will readily share with financial institutions and other businesses information regarding your performance. And that is why your credit report is so important. Notice I said earlier, Elaine, that you should all seek to get a credit report. You'd be surprised to know that everything that you do with a financial institution that has not been done right is actually recorded and reported out there. So you need to go and get your report and make the effort to clean it up. I have had an instance, for example, where I had a loan some time ago. I paid off the loan. As far as I was concerned, everything was fine. But then, because I'm on a financial board, I'm required to deliver financials to the Bank of Jamaica and to get a fit and proper certificate from them. One question that came back on one of my applications was that they saw a loan on it, which it wasn't clear whether it was settled. I had to go back, and that is why it's also very important to keep records. That financial institution was closed, but I had the records, and I had to go through the trouble to get those records, take it back to the government, the Bank of Jamaica at the time, and also when I did that, I went to the credit bureau, got the report, and I provided the evidence that this was done and got it cleared. Otherwise, I would have been disqualified from being a member of that board of that financial institution. So it's very important. So don't take it for granted. The truth is, if you go in to your lender and present your situation, more than likely, they are willing to assist you in straightening out because they're not really interested in bad debt. Bad debt is a bad reflection on the institution. So they want to help you to keep on track. So the worst thing you can do if you have a loan or if you are unable to pay your loan is to shy away or hide from the institution. Go in and they will help you. In many cases, they'll help you to restructure your situation. It might be a consolidation. It might be just some time that they give you without penalty. Because the other thing is, when you miss your payments, not only is the interest due, but very often after a while, you incur penalties. And if they have to take you to court, all of those charges will be levied against your account. Please be very, very careful with this. A very important question, Elaine.
Okay. Thank you very much, Noel, for that very informative response. Actually, really, the credit bureau is something I keep forgetting about its existence, to be truthful. Yes. Okay. I have a question for Ms. Stair. A pension-related question. If I am someone and I am on the brink of retirement at this point, but for whatever reason, the unfortunate thing is that I'm an employee and I'm in a company pension plan, and for whatever reason, my pension fund value because of COVID has fallen, right? Am I in a position or I am within my right to go to the employer to see if I can make an arrangement to defer my retirement date or to refer my withdrawal from the plan until those investments have a time to rebound or negotiate for partial settlement now and for them to hold some until I get an increased value? Is there space for that?
There is, and that is by the dictates of the trust deed and rules for different pension arrangements. And you'd have to be guided by that. So usually you'd have the normal retirement age of between 60 to 65. So if you are at age 60, you may write to the Board of Trustees and say, you know what, yes, I'm at normal retirement age, but I know that late retirement is possibly at age 65 or 70. Can I still stay work with the company? If you can't work with the company, you would leave the funds, don't take the benefit at present, and you be called a deferred pensioner. So your funds, so you would not say, okay, let me get the lump sum. So you just let the funds remain and ensure that, that you would not have crystallized, for want of a better word, your benefit at that point in time.
Okay.
So yes, there's a capacity to do that.
Okay, just one additional clarification I'd want. Can the pensioner or deferred pensioner determine how long they want to stay? Can you just say, I just want to stay till I at least get to where my funds were at the end of 2019 and take it out? Do you have that amount of flexibility as the deferred pensioner?
You can, again, you have to be guided by the trust deed and rules and how it is that the governance structure. So I have pension arrangements specifically where we have had considerations like that. And we said, yes, you can, because we recognize what is happening in this current economic climate. And you don't want to put your members, your pensioners at a disadvantage ultimately.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Okay, and I have one question for Mrs. Barrett Bryan. Just for clarification, in relation to startups, are there any grants for startups?
Indeed, there is. The voucher for technical assistance is available to everyone, especially for startups who need that guidance, especially where, starting and knowing how to structure. They may want business management coaching, or they may need a business plan, because that's very critical to when you're, starting a business, and especially if it is that you're going to borrow. So yes, the grants are available, the same voucher for technical assistance, and persons, even if you registered yesterday, you can apply for the voucher for technical assistance tomorrow. So you don't have to be in existence any period of time.
Okay. And may I ask how much does that voucher cover, dollar-wise?
Yes, you can. All right. So it covers a maximum dollar value of $200,000.
Okay.
And for most of the services, they are below or, within that range. And in terms of when you go on our website, you will see over 27 services on there. We partner with what we call business development organizations. And so you choose the service you want, you choose the organization, you go in with your certificate that you would have gotten through your email, and you have that sit-down discussion with them as to what it is you want, and they will structure, based on the information that you give to them, and we pay them directly.
Okay, so for somebody who might be out there listening now and say, okay, I had this idea for a startup, they may be eligible. Do they start that process by coming into your office physically and outlining to you what it is? How do you initiate the process?
Okay, usually, under normal circumstances, COVID is now the norm for us, it would seem, but pre-COVID, you could come into us and we help you. But you don't have to do that now. It's all done by website, the click of a mouse. Whether you're going to use your mobile phone or a PC, you simply go online, and dbjvoucher.com is the link or the web address, and you go on and fill out your application. As I mentioned earlier, you need to have your business registration number, because it is only registered businesses that can access the voucher. So you will need to have that, and your TRN. That is also very important. You go on, complete the information that is required of you, and that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Can I ask Sunetra Ramsingh? I think we have some questions on YouTube. Do you want to field those, please?
Good evening, Elaine. Indeed, we do. We have 3 questions directed to Camille Stair, and 2 questions, I do believe, directed to Alicia, as it was posted when she was presenting. So the first question is from Jaheem James, and this is to Camille. Is there any way that we as a society can create a method to develop an economic plan to learn from our experiences of going forward from this COVID period?
Wow, that is a multi-billion-dollar question. And I'm going to take it from the perspective of personal finances. Why? Because what governments, what financial institutions, you see a lot of financial institutions talking about financial literacy, the importance of it, because we recognize that a lot of persons would not have been aware of some simple things like building an emergency fund. So at the broad level, coming from the government, what you want to look on is how it is that you can create a framework that is equitable. And that when you're looking on personal finances and specifically for pensions, we have 3 different pillars. The first pillar, specifically for Jamaica, is the national insurance scheme, is whether or not you can reform that to ensure that it covers more persons. What are some of the educational things, forums that you can have, because persons need to be made aware. So that needs to be embedded in anything, any economic policy going forward. And again, it is incumbent upon financial institutions, not just to push products, but you have to impart the knowledge. So it is the private sector having that partnership with the government and translating that knowledge ultimately to all of its citizens.
Okay, thank you. And the other one is from Tanika Lawrence. What is an emergency fund?
So an emergency fund is simply a buffer. It's a buffer that is an emergency. We would have had the COVID-19 and persons who didn't want to go on early retirement because they would not have any safety net. They would have said, I need to go on retirement. So the emergency fund is 3 to 6 months on average of your living expenses that you would have in a savings account, possibly earning some interest. And that is your buffer. So instead of you racking up debt on your credit card, going on early retirement, you would have had that buffer, which is essential.
Okay, thank you. And from Tanika Lawrence again, how do I know how much I should be saving towards my retirement?
All right, so saving towards your retirement, the provisions of the Income Tax Act and the Pensions Act is that you can save up to 20% of whatever it is that you earn, your emolument. So that is what you should be working towards, and you get the tax benefit from that. But outside of that, what you should be also tracking is whether or not, based on your current trajectory, if you at retirement that you are covering at least 70 to 80% of your final salary. And that is something that you should be monitoring consistently, because when you hit age 50, you need to have a member benefit statement, something, and it would indicate whether or not, based on your current contribution rate, whether or not you're on track with respect to that replacement rate. If your replacement rate for your final projected salary is at 40 or 30%, what are some of the things that you can do? Do I increase my contributions to the retirement, the pension arrangement? Do I have that capacity? Do I need to go to my financial institutions and examine what it is that I can put in the portfolio? I would have said you can put in bonds to get cash flow. You can put in stock that give you good dividend payments, different things. But you need to go in with the knowledge to ask the pertinent questions so that ultimately you can build a robust portfolio.
Excellent. Thank you, Camille. I hope that answers the questions for Jahim and Tanika. So I'm going to move to Alicia, and these 2 questions actually are from Navinia Wellington. And she asked about the examples of the downside or the negatives to what you have presented.
Yeah, sure. So the downsides of being your own boss, I don't know if this is really a downside, but it's something to keep in mind, is that there's no one standing over you saying, did you deliver your work to the client? Did you do this? So you have to make sure that you understand that when someone orders from you on a site like Fiverr or Upwork, or you post on social media that you have the service and somebody buys it from you, you have to make sure that you deliver. Another downside would be is that when you're starting off, it does take a lot of sacrifice, especially if you're getting a lot of orders coming in. You have to learn how to manage your time. You have to learn how to, you're going to turn off the TV and focus on your business. And as you focus on your business and you want to increase and grow, you have to spend that time learning new skills and really learning customer service and how to handle your business as a business owner.
Great, thank you for that. And the other question is also from Lavinia Wellington. And for the courses that are seen on your website, do you provide linkages at the end of the course?
Do we provide linkages? Is that what she said?
Yes, it may be links or linkages.
Yeah.
Perhaps links.
So at the end of the course, I think you mean maybe like, do we link you up with a job? So what the course teaches you, all of our courses teach you how to be your own boss, how to work on Fiverr, and how to find people that are going to hire you. We put you in a Facebook group. So all of our students are in different Facebook groups, dependent on the class that you're interested in and taking, to get support and to get jobs from other members. But we don't provide you with a job. You're taught how to be your own boss and go out there and get clients and find clients. And, you know, as you build this business, you will find that when you do it right, the clients do come to you. So now you just have to be prepared to, again, run your business like it's a business.
Okay. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Lion Lane, that is it from...
That's the questions. Okay,
yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Lion Sinatra. Okay, and like they say, all good things must come to an end, and that's where we're heading. So we'll now move on to a vote of thanks, which will be given by Lion President, Lion Angela Patterson, President of the New Kingston Club.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Madam Moderator, Lion Zone Chair, Elaine Robinson, Melvin Jones Fellow, thank you so much for guiding the proceedings as ably as you did. Everything was very smooth and flowed wonderfully well. I'd like to also thank Professor Julie Meeks Gardner, member of the UE COVID-19 Task Force, for urging us to maintain the COVID-19 protocols. Lion Region Chairman, Dr. Paulette McGregor, Melvin Jones Fellow, thank you so much for pointing out that no one budgeted for COVID. No one across the globe had a budget for COVID, and therefore we had to modify all of our lifestyles to be able to cope. Then I go to our presenters. What a wonderful crop of presenters there were. Mrs. Camille Stair, Corporate Manager at the JMMB Fund. Your notion of financial resilience was resonating with me. You are saying that we ought to be making our portfolios robust and to develop a framework using your ABC model. And you put forward a financial stance at various stages of life that will help us to guide ourselves and to plan. Thank you so much for that. Dr. Noel Morgan, Chief Financial Officer of the UE Open Campus. You showed us how to adjust our budget during COVID times, how important it was to write down goals. We saw where you showed us a simple budget template to help us in our process of budgeting. You also gave us practical steps to handle the situation when our income is reduced. Thank you so much. My fellow alum, Mrs. Nikisha Barrett-Ryan, Credit Relationship Officer at DBJ. Thank you for your guidance for small businesses. Your suite of products, which along with financing, helps to formalize businesses so that there is a structure. I love the notion of grants, which means that they don't have to be repaid. That's very exciting. Thank you. Miss Alicia Little, founder of POW Social, a digital marketing company. You have just excited up the evening, because in all of the darkness, you are showing us that there is light and that we can earn monies using skills and talents that we have. I love that. I hope everybody wrote down Canva and Fever and Internet Income Jamaica so that we can push forward, learn some more, and actually bring our skills to a global, the global audience. Thank you so much for that. Now, no enterprise of this kind can happen just so. And I want to just turn some attention to the fantastic team of persons from both the Lions Club and UE Open Campus who put this all together. Let me read you the planning team. The planning team was led by Levine Griffiths of the UE Open Campus. Then we had along with her Elaine Robinson, Shireen Thorpe, Talisha Baker Wilby, Kareem Duffus Bryan, Marcia Reed, Sophia Wellington, Charles McNabb, Leo Fabian Maxwell. Thank you so much for all your plans. We are at the third webinar, and so these persons were responsible for planning 3 evenings such as this and to deliver an excellent product. Thank you. They were supported technically in the first webinar by Lan Siobhan Sutherland and Lan Wendy, and for the second and third webinars using the UE Open Campus team headed by David Foster. David, you're a star. Thank you. Then we have, well, that was it. But I want to just reinforce again the role played by our own Lion Levine, who drove this thing from thought to finish. I've borrowed that from a friend of mine. I hope she won't mind. But thank you, Levine, for bringing us with the idea and for running with it and executing so brilliantly. So thanks to all. Have a good evening, and next year we do it again. Hopefully not COVID. We'd find something else to scoop about. Thanks, everyone.
Yes, okay. And I take moderator's privilege by making the very last comment. Again, to congratulate the planning team and to once again thank our presenters for really an exciting and informative evening. And for all of those who turned out, I hope you found it to be a very valuable period and I should say a good use of your time, because I certainly did. Thank you all very, very much, and do continue to keep safe in this period of challenge that we're all facing.